There are moments in life when silence speaks louder than words. Moments when the noise fades, the chasing stops, and something ancient begins to rise, the quiet rhythm beneath your skin, the whisper of your soul remembering its strength. We live in a world that teaches us how to pursue, how to touch, how to consume, but rarely are we taught how to pause. And yet, in that pause, there is power. The art of abstinence is often misunderstood. People hear the word and immediately think of denial, of lack, of something being withheld. But true abstinence, conscious abstinence, is not rejection. It is rediscovery. It is the gentle discipline of quieting the body so that the soul can finally speak. Think of it like this. Imagine being in a crowded room filled with endless music, conversations, distractions. You've been there so long, you forget the sound of your own voice. But then, you step outside. It's quiet. At first, the silence feels unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. But slowly, your breath returns. Your heartbeat steadies. You begin to hear yourself, not the noise, not the expectations, but your own raw, unfiltered truth. This is what conscious abstinence offers. Not deprivation, but space. Not suppression, but stillness. It is not about running away from life, but about returning to yourself grounded, aware, whole. So, as we continue, I invite you to see abstinence not as an absence, but as an invitation to meet the most authentic version of you. Most people hear the word abstinence, and immediately their mind jumps to lack, to sacrifice, to the uncomfortable feeling of going without. But those who walk the path of self-mastery, they understand something deeper. Abstinence is not depletion. It is redirection. It is reclaiming the energy that is constantly being scattered outward and turning it inward, where it can nourish the roots of your being. In Eastern philosophy, the body, mind, and spirit are not separate. They are one flowing system, like a river. Imagine a river without direction. It floods its banks, spills into the fields, causing chaos. But when that same river is guided, contained, given structure, it becomes powerful. It fuels crops, generates energy, shapes landscapes. Desire is like that river. Left unchecked, it runs wild, chasing momentary satisfaction, leaving you drained, disconnected. But when you guide your desire, when you choose where your energy flows, it becomes willpower, clarity, inner strength. Abstinence is not about suppressing desire. It's about transforming it, turning raw impulse into focused intention. Think of the great artists, the wise teachers, the peaceful monks. They did not reach mastery by indulging every craving. They reached it by refining their energy, by choosing silence over noise, presence over distraction, depth over temporary highs. In the stillness created by abstinence, something extraordinary happens. Your awareness sharpens, your presence deepens, your energy, once scattered in all directions, begins to return home to you. This is not denial, it is cultivation. And as we continue, I invite you to explore how this quiet redirection of energy becomes the foundation for unshakable presence and the deepest connections of your life. True transformation happens not only in the mind, but deep within the architecture of the brain and the nervous system. Modern science calls it neuroplasticity, the remarkable ability of your brain to rewire itself, to build new pathways, to evolve beyond old patterns. And abstinence, when practiced with awareness, becomes a catalyst for that evolution. You see, every time you chase instant gratification, the quick text, the fleeting touch, the external validation, your brain becomes conditioned to crave more of it. The dopamine circuits fire, and over time, you lose your center. But when you pause, when you choose abstinence, especially from compulsive behaviors, something powerful begins to happen. Your nervous system settles. The constant storm of craving calms. Your ability to self-regulate strengthens. This is not suppression, it is refinement. In Eastern philosophy, This is known as cultivating chi life energy. When scattered, it dissipates. When conserved, it nourishes clarity, presence, emotional resilience. And here's what unfolds when your nervous system finds balance. You start sensing beyond words. You notice emotions in others in their eyes, their posture, their silence before they ever speak. You stop reacting from impulse and begin responding from wisdom. This is not weakness. It is a higher intelligence, the quiet mastery of feeling everything without being controlled by anything. Abstinence is the bridge between biology and mindfulness, between nervous system, health, and spiritual awareness. And as we continue, I'll guide you deeper into how this discipline unlocks emotional freedom, intuitive sensitivity, and a deeper, steadier connection first with yourself, then with others. By now, you've begun to understand abstinence is not deprivation, it's transformation. And part of that transformation is quiet strength. We often think of strength as something visible, the raised voice, the quick reaction, the ability to dominate a situation. But the deepest strength is often invisible. It's what happens in the pause, in the space between stimulus and response. Abstinence builds this inner strength, not by forcing you to suppress emotion, but by training you to hold it, to observe it, to choose your response with wisdom. Think of it as emotional muscle. Just as the body grows strong through resistance, the emotional body grows resilient through intentional restraint. There's a woman I once spoke to heartbroken after being ghosted by someone she trusted. Her first impulse? To react, to send messages, to demand answers, to fill the silence with noise. But instead, she chose abstinence. She paused. She didn't act on the first wave of emotion. She wrote in her journal. She sat with the discomfort. She listened to what was happening beneath the anger, beneath the sadness. And in that stillness, something powerful emerged. She didn't just survive the rejection. She rediscovered her self-respect. She gained clarity, not through confrontation, but through reflection. This is the quiet strength abstinence cultivates. It teaches you not everything requires your immediate reaction. Not every emotion needs to be projected outward. Some feelings are sacred invitations to turn inward, to grow. And as we continue, you'll see how this inner strength becomes the foundation for love that is no longer born from need, but from wholeness. When people hear the word abstinence, their minds often jump to extremes, to the rejection of love, to shutting down emotions, to isolating oneself from human connection. But I invite you to look deeper. True abstinence isn't about denying love. It's about refining yourself, clearing away the noise, the wounds, the unconscious patterns, so that when love arrives, you are ready to meet it fully, without distortion, without fear. Think of love like planting a garden. We all desire a flourishing, beautiful space filled with flowers, peace, and growth. But planting seeds in unprepared soil, soil tangled with weeds, hardened by neglect, those seeds rarely take root, no matter how pure your intentions. The same is true in relationships. If you enter love with a heart still carrying old wounds, if your mind is clouded by fears of abandonment, if you seek connection only to fill the empty spaces within, no matter how beautiful the person or the promise, the relationship will often collapse into dependency, control, or quiet heartbreak. Abstinence, when practiced with awareness, is not about closing your heart, it's about cleansing your emotional soil. When you choose a period of abstinence from dating, from intimacy, from seeking constant validation, you give yourself space to release the baggage of past heartbreaks. Let go of unrealistic fantasies about perfect love. Discern the difference between surface-level attraction and true soul resonance. Abstinence is the art of pausing before planting the seed, so your inner foundation is steady, fertile, and aligned. And when your inner world is grounded, love, when it comes, no longer feels like a frantic search for safety. You receive love freely, without gripping, without shrinking. You no longer love from lack, you love from wholeness. You no longer need a partner to rescue you, you walk beside them as equals. Two complete beings, choosing each other not from fear, but from freedom. Abstinence is not about deprivation, it's preparation. It's the quiet, sacred work of tending your inner landscape so when love arrives, it doesn't overwhelm you. It integrates naturally without compromising your peace. So, if you find yourself in a season of abstinence, honor it. It's not absence, it's refinement. It's the conscious clearing of old patterns so that when love enters, it grows deep, steady, and true. We live in a world that worships urgency. Swipe fast, fall fast, love fast. But have you noticed the faster a flame burns, the quicker it fades? The same is true with love. Relationships that begin with impulsive passion, that erupt overnight, often disappear just as quickly, leaving behind confusion, disappointment, even deeper loneliness. But love, true love, doesn't come from rushing. It grows from awareness, from stillness, from conscious preparation. Abstinence, the mindful choice to pause, to wait, to observe, is like tending a slow burning fire. Picture an old cabin in winter. There's a small, steady flame glowing quietly in the hearth. It doesn't roar, it doesn't demand attention, but over time, it warms the whole room, protects you from the cold, stays alive through the storms outside. This is the love built on patience. When you choose abstinence from impulsive dating, from chasing temporary validation, you create space to observe yourself, witness your patterns, your fears, your true desires. You start to notice the difference between emotional hunger and genuine connection. You see the person in front of you not through fantasy, but with clarity. There's a woman I once met who shared her story. After years of jumping from one relationship to the next, always fearing loneliness, always mistaking intensity for love, she chose abstinence. 6 months of no dating, no distractions, just herself. She told me, "At first I thought I'd become cold, distant, maybe even incapable of love. But what actually happened? I found my warmth again, my real warmth, the kind that doesn't burn out but sustains me." You see, abstinence doesn't turn you cold. It turns you conscious. It doesn't make you lonely. It teaches you how to enjoy your own company. It doesn't make you afraid to love. It prepares you to love wisely, fully, without losing yourself. Through abstinence, you learn the balance. How to love deeply without becoming dependent. How to give fully without abandoning your boundaries. How to be close to someone without collapsing your own identity. This is the foundation for a healthy, spiritual love. A love where both people are free, whole, evolving side by side. So, if you're in a season of abstinence, see it not as emptiness, but as preparation. The quiet, sacred work of becoming someone ready for love that doesn't burn fast and disappear, but love that endures. One of the most overlooked truths on the journey of emotional growth is this: you cannot love another fully if you have not yet learned how to love yourself with awareness. True love does not grow from avoidance, nor from emotional hunger. It grows from presence, from the quiet, courageous space where you turn inward and take responsibility for your own healing. Many people misunderstand abstinence. They believe abstaining from relationships, intimacy, or external validation means rejecting love itself. But abstinence, when chosen consciously, is not rejection. It is a return, a homecoming to your inner world. It is the space where you begin to observe the parts of yourself that still ache, that still carry silent wounds beneath the surface. It is the pause that allows you to listen to the thoughts that race, to the insecurities that whisper, to the needs that often go unmet. And only by witnessing those hidden places can you heal them before you invite someone else into your life. The Buddha once taught, "No one saves us but ourselves." Yet how often do we enter relationships carrying broken pieces, hoping someone else will fix them? How often do we confuse intensity with connection or possession with love? Without self-awareness, our relationships become distorted mirrors. We project our fears, our emptiness, our unresolved pain onto the other person. We cling, we manipulate, we lose ourselves, all under the illusion of love. Abstinence, practiced with intention, interrupts this cycle. It invites you to slow down, to ask difficult questions. What do I truly need? Am I seeking love or escaping loneliness? Do I want partnership or distraction from my own inner work? In this space of reflection, something profound happens. You reclaim responsibility for your own heart. You stop blaming others for your wounds. You stop offering love as a bargaining tool, hoping to be rescued. You begin to set healthy boundaries, to understand your worth, to honor both your freedom and the freedom of the person you will one day choose. Abstinence is not avoidance, it is preparation. It is the courageous act of clearing old patterns before building new connections. It is how we learn to love from fullness, not from fragmentation. It is how we practice showing up in love, not with desperation, but with presence. Responsible love means understanding that true connection never requires you to lose yourself. On the contrary, it asks that you stand firmly within your own being, that you know how to love without clinging, how to be close without collapsing your boundaries, how to open your heart without abandoning your center. It's when you and your partner walk alongside one another, not leaning on each other for survival, but inspiring growth, stability, and shared evolution. So, if you find yourself in a season of abstinence, don't view it as emptiness or deprivation. See it as a powerful opportunity to nourish yourself from within. Use this time to heal the unspoken wounds, to build emotional resilience, to reconnect with your worth and your boundaries. Because only when you enter love with clarity and groundedness will you truly understand. Love is not dependency. Love is not control. Love is freedom. It is the conscious union of two individuals, each rooted in their own wholeness, who meet not to fill a void, but to walk side by side, to inspire, to support, and to grow together in peace. In modern life, many of us confuse freedom with indulgence. We believe being free means doing whatever we feel, whenever we feel it, pursuing every impulse, satisfying every desire. But real freedom isn't about following every fleeting emotion. The most powerful freedom is knowing when to pause, when to abstain, and when to let silence guide your next move. True freedom isn't about chaos. It's about mastery. But here's the problem. Society teaches us to chase instant gratification. Feeling lonely? Find someone to distract you. Feeling restless? Rush into a connection, even if your heart is still carrying old wounds. Feeling empty? Seek temporary closeness to cover up the void inside. The more you follow your impulses without awareness, the more you lose your true freedom. You become a prisoner of emotional reactions controlled by fears of abandonment, pulled by the anxiety of not being enough. Your choices are no longer conscious. They are compulsions dressed up as love. Abstinence interrupts this unconscious cycle. When you abstain physically, emotionally, energetically, you declare your independence from those hidden patterns. You are no longer manipulated by feelings of lack. You stop running into someone's arms to escape yourself. You reclaim your worth without needing anyone else's validation. And in that space, love transforms. It is no longer a crutch, a place to hide, or a patch for your insecurities. Love becomes a conscious choice, a meeting of equals, built on mutual respect and presence. True freedom in love is not the absence of connection, but the ability to connect without clinging, to stay open without losing yourself, to walk beside someone without collapsing into them. Abstinence shows you the profound truth. You were whole all along. You do not need another person to complete you. You are already complete, and when you love, it's because you want to share that fullness, not because you are desperate to fill a void. This is the highest form of freedom. Freedom from dependence. Freedom from the fear of being abandoned. Freedom to love from choice, not from survival mode. Abstinence doesn't weaken you. It strengthens your foundation. It doesn't close your heart. It clears the noise so your heart can love clearly. It is a powerful declaration. I choose love consciously. I step into relationships when I am steady, grounded, and self-aware. I do not need someone to complete me. I have built my own inner stability, and from that place, I choose to connect. True freedom is not having it all, doing it all, rushing into it all. True freedom is knowing when to step back, when to let go, when to trust the stillness. Abstinence is how you practice that in every breath, Every relationship, every moment, you choose your peace over temporary satisfaction. We've explored how abstinence creates space for self-awareness and how it builds the foundation for authentic connection. But beyond all that, abstinence holds a deeper, often misunderstood meaning. Abstinence is not a rejection of life. It's an invitation to rediscover yourself, to reconnect with parts of you that got lost in the noise, the distractions, the endless pursuit of external comfort. We live in a world that constantly pulls us outward. Social media, relationships, shallow attachments, they keep our energy scattered. The more we chase fulfillment outside, the further we drift from ourselves. Abstinence is how we pause that pattern. It's how we call our energy back home. When you consciously step away from impulsive connection, from filling every moment with external validation, something profound happens. You stop running from your own company. You learn to be alone not as punishment, but as liberation. Most people confuse being alone with loneliness, but real solitude isn't empty, it's spacious. It gives you room to breathe, to listen to your true desires, to reset your emotional standards. Through abstinence, you gain clarity. You begin to distinguish between what your soul genuinely craves and what your fears try to chase. You stop accepting love that drains you. You stop settling for dynamics that diminish you. This is how abstinence helps you rewrite your relationship standards. You no longer approach love from desperation. You approach it from discernment. And when love arrives, you're not clinging to it out of fear. You're embracing it from wholeness, from calm, from knowing exactly what honors your heart and what does not. Abstinence, then, becomes far more than restraint. It becomes self-mastery, the ability to navigate life and love without losing your center. It's not isolation, it's preparation. Preparation to love consciously, to choose wisely, to show up fully, not as a fragmented version of yourself, but as someone grounded, clear, and ready for love that truly aligns. Most people believe love begins when two people meet, but real love begins long before that moment. It starts in silence. It starts the moment you stop running, stop chasing, and finally turn inward. Abstinence is not rejection. It is the quiet preparation for something real, not built on fear, not driven by loneliness, but grounded in clarity. When you pause, when you sit with your own company, when you learn to be with your thoughts, your insecurities, your strengths, something shifts. You stop asking, who will love me? And you start realizing, I am ready to love without losing myself. This is not the love you beg for. It is not love born from gaps and shadows. It is love that rises naturally because you have cleared space for it. The greatest relationships are not built by accident. They are built by people who have done the quiet work. People who no longer seek love to escape themselves, but who are ready to share the strength they've cultivated alone. So, I invite you, take your time. Let abstinence be your reset. Let it be the space where you rebuild your standards, your energy, your sense of peace. Because when love finally arrives, you won't feel desperate to hold on to it. You'll feel free enough to choose it with calm, with presence, with confidence. And that is the foundation of real love. If this message resonated with you, support this space by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this with someone on their journey. Love doesn't find you when you chase it. Love finds you when you finally come home to yourself.